If you want to win some free PSN or Xbox gift cards, all you gotta do is be subscribed to my channel, drop a like on this video, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Also, if you guys want to get your hands on some cheap Master Prestige accounts for any Call of Duty games, check out DigiZani. The link will be down in the description, and make sure to use code GOBLIN. Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin, and welcome back to another Call of Duty video. Today's video is going to be really awesome. We're going to be talking about super overpowered and the best guns from previous Call of Duty games, starting from Call of Duty 4, working our way all up to the most recent COD, which is Infinite Warfare. Hope you guys will enjoy it. It's going to be something that's awesome, really fun. Slap a like on this. Let's go over 2,000 likes. And I want you guys to be, giving your opinions in the comment section down below. I'm going to read through all the comments and all that sort of stuff. So basically what happened is this website called Dexerto Intel, they put out a list talking about, in their opinions, the most overpowered gun from every single Call of Duty game, starting at COD 4. And I'm going to be sort of reading through this list, putting the images and stuff up on screen, what they're saying, and then giving my own opinions. You guys can leave yours down in the comment section down below. Just a fresh break and talking about previous COD games. So let's start with Call of Duty 4. For Call of Duty 4, they say the M16 was the most overpowered, quite possibly one of the most recognized weapons in COD history. M16 in COD 4 became a staple of players in both public matches and competitive matches. Although included in later Call of Duty games, it never became as good as this, and I 100% agree. For this one, I'm 100% on board. Some of these I'm definitely going to disagree with, but the M16 from COD 4 was 1,000% the best gun that was in COD 4. Honorable mentions for them are frag grenades, the Beta M4 carbine, and the MP5. I definitely think that the MP5 is a close second to the M16 for COD 4, and frag grenades also are super duper overpowered. I'm surprised they never nerfed frag grenades. Back in previous CODs, they would just throw out the game and say, we're only going to patch it if it's a real glitch or something like that. Otherwise, just enjoy. And by the way, the background gameplay is just going to be like some older CODs to fit the theme of this video. So I definitely agree. COD 4, M16, I definitely think honorable mention would be, in my opinion, frag grenades, and then MP5. Let's go to the next one. Call of Duty World at War. They say MP40, and this one honestly is absolutely broken. One of the easiest choices in the entire list, the MP40 submachine gun wreaked havoc on almost any map in the game, paired with dual mag and the Juggernaut perk. Yeah, this gun, I don't know how much you guys have played World at War. Honestly, it's one that I have probably the least amount of playtime, but I still have a couple days played. And you would get the round drum, which is basically like a huge extended mags, with this MP40. It did have a little bit of kick, but in a game where other weapons kind of sucked at World at War, because of course they were going for the high recoil, traditional real war style guns, the MP40 was one that just stood out, and it was literally like like they said, it's a very easy choice, and I agree with this one 100% as well. MP40, absolutely broken, overpowered. If you ever get a chance to hop on World at War again, still to this day, you're going to want to throw this thing on with either Stopping Power or Juggernaut, and it's absolutely over. Next one is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, this is when I first got into COD, like playing all day, every day in high school. Pre-patch Model 1887 Akimbo. Yeah, now this one is an easy choice. This was nerfed very early in the life cycle, but for the first couple of times, or a couple of the first month or so, the Model 1887 Akimbo, which is dual shotguns, could literally kill people across the map on high rise and on other maps. It was completely broken, and of course this was the most overpowered in that game, but at the same time this ended up getting nerfed. So I would probably put more overpowered than this would be the one-man army danger close grenade launcher, because that was something that never got fixed and literally ruined the game. If you guys have ever played MW2, you'll know people would basically, you could have unlimited grenade launchers because you would replenish with this one-man army thing, which allowed you to change your class in the middle of a life. So you could just change class back and forth, and it could replenish all of your grenades, all of your grenade launchers, and it was just absolutely broken. I have to say that is the most overpowered. Pre-patch Model 1887 Akimbos, definitely, but when they leave something in the game for how long, how many years since this has come out? Maybe 8 years, and it's still over. They never nerfed the noob tubes, the grenade launchers. One of the biggest mistakes ever, I think. I don't know why they never fixed that. Modern Warfare 2 would have been probably the best Call of Duty game if they actually paid attention to it and fixed things, which was sort of really disappointing that they never did that. It still is to this day, though, one of the most crazy, hectic, and fun CODs to play. Next one is Black Ops 1, and this is going to be the FAMAS, and I 100% agree. I literally had I made a second account to only play with the FAMAS in TDM, and I had like a 9 KD ratio or something like that, because this gun was so broken. I remember all my friends at school would laugh at me, because when you check my combat record, and you know, I would say I got a 3 KD, blah blah blah, but my combat record, it was like 90% kills with the FAMAS. I was in my full tryhard mode. Every gameplay in my theater mode was just the FAMAS, because it was so absolutely broken. It had no recoil, and it had a high fire rate, and it was the best gun in every single person in a competitive match. Other guns weren't even like, other guns didn't exist. It was FAMAS, 4 FAMASes versus 4 FAMASes. Eventually it ended up getting nerfed, but it was way later in the life cycle. Treyarch is really good at updating their games and nerfing it, but even after the nerf, it's still pretty strong, and they just added more recoil, sort of like the FFAR in Black Ops 3. Before the nerf, though, this gun was absolutely broken. As far as honorable mentions, they wrote the 74U with steady aim grip and the rapid fire, and the G11. I don't necessarily agree with the 74U. I don't think it was anything exceptional. I mean, it was really strong of an SMG. But the G11 definitely also. The G11, if you had a good connection, like if you had 4-bar connection, you had like a super high download speed, so you would one burst people every single time. That's the thing with burst guns, is that you really do need a good connect. Not as much in the newer CODs, like you can use the M8 and the M16 without the best connection. I mean, you should be on a 4-bar. That's something that I always recommend. Here's a quick little tip, by the way. I'm sneaking this into the video, but if you're ever on a 3-bar or a bad connection, use a gun you can spray and pray with. Use a rapid fire SMG. If you're on a 4-bar connection, use a more pinpoint gun like a burst G11 or something like that. That's just a little tip there. Next one is going to be from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. What they say is the pre-patch Type 95 and the FMG9 akimbo, and definitely agree with this, although this stuff was nerfed like 2 months in, I'd say. Modern Warfare 3, the pre-patch Type 95 was basically like the M16 from COD 4. It was just a 1 burst every single time. Probably even better because it had a faster fire rate, but eventually that ended up getting nerfed. But then the FMG9s also too. What those were, they were akimbo secondaries, and the FMG9s were absolutely insane because you could literally just spray with them. And I remember I did a Moab with every gun series on my channel. This is like when I first started out YouTube and started, like, maybe had 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, and people were getting so mad at me because I would say like Moab with every gun with a primary, but I get like 10 kills with the secondaries because they were just so broken, especially on a map like Mission. You could just take people down, use those akimbo FMG9s, and they were absolutely ridiculous. I would say those are definitely super duper overpowered, as well as other guns in the game, in the actual game. MP7 and ACR, those were the guns that once they fixed, you know, at every COD game, there's stuff that's super broken at the start, but once they fix that, the MP7 and the ACR, still to this day, the only 2 guns that if you really want to go try hard, that's what you're going to use. Next one is Call of Duty Black Ops 2. They have the fully automatic FAL. Now this one was very good. This one was more prevalent in competitive play because a lot of people would use this, and it was patched and banned from competitive play, and then it sort of fell off and no one ever used it again. So it's one of those. As far as guns that I would say personally, because I was not really a competitive player in BO2, the games where I did play competitive was BO1, BO3, Ghosts. Those are about it. But I have to say that this one would be definitely Black Ops 2, the PDW. Before they nerfed that thing, as well as the Ballista Sniper Rifle, those were 2 guns that were broken. They ended up nerfing both of those. Super duper strong stuff. And I would definitely put those as overpowered until they got nerfed. Next one is going to be for Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, what they have is the Vector CRB. This is the gun of competitive, and I remember playing competitive on COD Ghosts. I'd slap the red dot on this thing. It was so fun to run around with. Honorable mentions, they have the MTAR X pre-patch, which is true. Ghost was similar to BO3 in a way where they had 2 SMGs sort of fighting for the spot. It was the Vector and the MTAR, and depending on every time they patched or nerfed or buffed guns, they would switch over. Just like in BO3, how it was the Vesper and the VMP fighting over. Also the MSBS pre-patch. MSBS is one that was just another burst gun. It seems like they have a tradition of messing up with burst guns in Call of Duty games right at the start, but they usually just nerf them pretty fast. So that's you know, that's how they fix those. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, the pre-patch Ball 27. Yeah, this thing was dumb. The Ball 27 as well as the ASM1. If you had the variants, this was the first game where it was sort of like pay to win, I guess you could say, or supply drops were super prevalent. If you had the Ball 27 Obsidian Steed which I think raised your damage, or you had the ASM-1 Speakeasy, which raised your fire rate by 3, and it also had no recoil, you could destroy everyone. And at that point, they ended up nerfing the Bal 27, and after they nerfed it, it still was the best assault rifle, and they just said, you know what, screw it, this is just going to remain the best assault rifle. I would say the ASM-1, before the patch, the Bal was the best. Then when they nerfed the Bal, the ASM-1 became the best. That's just in my opinion. Advanced Warfare, known for really overpowered guns and overpowered variants, and that's what they had. And I'm excited to see this next Sledgehammer game. Hopefully we get some overpowered guns again, because overpowered guns are fun. I mean, it's more fun when everything is balanced out. But in games where like they have really crappy guns, it's nice to find those 1 or 2 or 3 guns that you can really do well with. Next one we're going to talk about here is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And this one is pretty obvious. It is the pre-patched Vesper early game, possessing everything that an overpowered gun needs. Pre-patched Vesper, low recoil, high rate of fire, and a solid ammo capacity once extended mags was added. Immediate go-to for anyone in the COD community. Yeah, the Vesper was... I mean, I got a double nuclear with this thing. I got tons of 100 pluses. It was absolutely broken. And once they nerfed it, it became like pretty crappy. And then they buffed it again. It was broken again. And then they nerfed it again and said, you know, let's just not touch this. They could not get the balancing right on this thing. It's absolutely broken. For the honorable mentions for Black Ops 3, they have the Brecci, RK5, the 48 Dredge, and the Gorgon pre-patch. I agree with all of these. Brecci, everyone knows about the Brecci. I mean, I'm sure Black Ops 3 is like the most popular COD, at least for you guys watching this probably right now. It's you're either playing Black Ops 3 or Infinite Warfare and some of the newer CODs, maybe COD 4 Remastered. But the Brecci, we all run into that, and I get tons of comments about that one being broken. RK5 secondary is a very strong pistol. Even on my video like the other day where I was using the M16 and M8A7, you saw I was using the pistol a lot because it's super duper strong. 48 Dredge is good. It got nerfed. It's not very good anymore. I mean, it's still good, but it's not comparable to the best guns in the game. And the Gorgon pre-patch, if you guys were around at the very start of Black Ops 3, the Gorgon was a weapon that literally killed people in 2 bullets. It was absolutely broken. It had a very slow fire rate, and to this day the Gorgon is probably one of the worst LMGs, but at the start of the game with that slow fire rate, it was just a 2-shot kill. Boom, boom, and you could kill people so fast. It was very overpowered. They ended up nerfing that. Other guns that I would say for Black Ops 3 that are overpowered right now, of course, you guys know. I always talk about overpowered guns. Vesper right now is not overpowered, even though it was at one point the most overpowered. Right now we got the XMC. Probably overpowered, and the M8A7. And then VMP, I would say, is a little bit behind those because of all the nerfs it has taken. Next one we have is going to be Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Now, what they said is the OSA pre-patch ban. Now, this is another one that was sort of very popular in competitive play, but public match people didn't really catch on to it, similar to the FAL in Black Ops 2. The OSA, which is the ARX from COD Ghost, brought back into Infinite Warfare as a classic gun, was broken in competitive play, and it was eventually banned after CWL Vegas in December because it was so broken and it killed people so fast, even though it did have recoil. So that one got nerfed. And honestly, I would say this gun in competitive was a lot better than it was in public matches, because what made it so good in competitive is that it could kill faster than the other guns. But in public matches, it's not all about having a gun that can kill faster. It's about controlling recoil, having range, having other things that a variant brings. I would probably say for Infinite Warfare, the most overpowered gun in the game overall is between 3 guns, I guess you could say. Sort of like Black Ops. The gun balance is pretty fun in Infinite Warfare. They had the ERAD, which is an overpowered SMG, as well as the MACTAV 45. And then for the assault rifles, it's the big 2 ones on top, the K-Bar and the NV4. NV4 probably one of the most broken guns for public matches because it's just like the ACR from Modern Warfare 3. You want to get a nuke, you want to do well, I'm going to pick that one every single time because it's a gun that you can rely on. And when it comes down to public matches, guns that you can rely on are absolutely huge. And that's why a gun like the BO3 M8A7, the NV4 from Infinite Warfare, the ACR or the FAMAS from Modern Warfare 2, the FAMAS from BO1, those guns are always going to be picked up because of just how much you can rely on them, and a gun that has no recoil. You'll notice in Call of Duty, the guns that people don't use a lot in public matches are the ones that have unpredictable recoil patterns. Certain recoils are like the Man of War. It has a little bit of bounce to it. A lot of SMGs have a little bit of bounce to it. Even the VMP goes up to the right. But when you get guns that have that unpredictable recoil pattern, you're sort of screwed, and those are guns that everyone tends to stay away from. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, if you guys made it to the end, first of all, just smack that like button. I need some comments, guys. I need to hear your guys' opinions on what do you think of this. Of course, this list is not made by me. I want to say that again. This is the list from the website. I will link it down below. But I just gave my opinions and stuff like that on what I think is most overpowered. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'd really appreciate that. Thanks for watching, guys. Sub for a cookie. Smack that like button. Sub for a cookie and don't lookie. And that's about it, guys. I'm out. Peace. Have a great night.